Hello again folks. I've featured these watches before. These are absolute grail watches made by one of horology's holy trinity, and they'll set you back many tens of thousands of pounds. But for cheap watch chaps like you and I, there are alternatives. Casio make the GA 2100 collection, and that's their answer. It's nicknamed the Casioak. Now Casioaks generally have resin cases, and they come in various different colourways, as we can see here, with very reasonable prices. And what you're getting here is G-Shock sturdiness with the sort of Genta-esque styling, although I think it's quite far removed. Now they also quite recently brought out an all-metal version, and the all-metal version is a homage, a more direct homage I suppose to a Royal Oak, but this is the cheap watch chap, and we can go cheaper than this, because these metal ones would set you back hundreds of pounds. Have a look here, our old friends SKMEI. Now SKMEI basically specialise in homaging Casios. Now there are lots of Casio lookalikes in their collection, but this one here, wow, it's a Casioak. It's a SKMEI Casioak with a metal case, and it comes in different colourways, and it has positive and negative LCD screens. I thought we'd have to have a wee look at this one, so I've ordered one, and I'll get back to you when this arrives. I'll give you some idea how long it takes to come to the UK, because well, it's coming from China. Meantime, we can have a little look at how it looks on their web page here on AliExpress. Now one of the things about this is it looks absolutely brilliant. It looks very like a Casioak, but what you have to remember with AliExpress, an awful lot of the sellers don't use photographs, and what you're looking at here are not photographs of the product, they're actually digital renders. So they have the freedom to make them look as classy as they like. So we'll just have to see how it shapes up in the flesh, or at least the zinc alloy. Hello people. On Saturday the 27th of May, the watch arrived. As usual with AliExpress, for here, at least in the UK, it doesn't take too long and delivery is fairly consistent. Anyway, here we go. What you get with a SKMEI is an envelope. You don't get a box, you get an envelope with another piece of bubble wrap inside it, and inside the envelope were the instruction manual, more of which later, a SKMEI hang tag, and the watch itself. There we go. Now, for my 7 and a bit inch wrist, I had to remove 4 links. Now, a quick mention of the links. The links are at the clasp end, which is where you're removing them, 20mm wide. There is a taper from the integration with the watch case down to the 20mm, and the links, although they do look solid, are actually folded links, as you can see there on the inner face of them. It's quite clever how they do this, and I'm pretty impressed actually. I don't like folded links, but it is very clever that you can make a folded link look solid, at least to casual observers. Let's run through the vital statistics of this machine. The weight, at least with the 4 links attached, is 147 grams. So this is quite a chunky watch. This is a good solid piece of metal. Now, talking about the metal, the case is not stainless steel, although with this rather nice brushing effect, it gives a reasonable facsimile of stainless steel casing. Now, I'm not sure how they do this. I wonder if they brush the zinc alloyed case and then apply the plating, or if they brush the plated surface, because with zinc alloy they're always plated with, well, something like chrome, in order to prevent them from corroding when exposed to things like the acid from your sweat and so forth. The case back is stainless steel, and the bracelet, although it's folded, is stainless steel. with push pins for adjustment. Now when I took those 4 push pins out, it took a bit of doing. It wasn't an easy job. You have to go kind of careful with it, and you may want to get a watchmaker to do it if you don't know what you're doing yourself. I wouldn't use makeshift tools. I'd use proper bracelet adjustment tools on it, and it can be a little bit tricky because they're in a little bit tight. Anyway, the vital statistics of the watch: 147 grams weight. It is 41.39 millimeters across the flats here. Now it's not a round case, so if you're measuring it diagonally, as I usually do with standard watch cases, across the flats here, it is 43.7 millimeters. And the chunkiest measurement, unfortunately, is that the watch is 13.44 millimeters thick. So it stands quite proud of the rest. Now the integrated bracelet here has a nice downturn at the lugs, I suppose you must still call them. So it actually conforms to the rest really quite well. Now with those 4 links in, it was absolutely gigantic. Normally I remove 3 links in order to size a watch. It just seems to be the sort of standard bracelet length that at least the Chinese manufacturers send us. But this one, 4 out, and it will be easily wide enough for the chunkiest wrist. And because it sits okay conforming to the rest, I think it will fit people with quite a slim wrist as well. I think you could go down to 6.5 inches comfortably, maybe even a little bit smaller. Now the appearance of the watch owes absolutely nothing to our friends at SKMEI, because as you can see here, it bears a startling resemblance to the Casioak, which it's emulating. Now, I recently saw another manufacturer's version of this being slated on the Just Another Watch channel, and the argument there was when you could buy a Casioak for about £100, why would you bother buying a HOMAGE? But this cost me just a little bit over £20, and at that price it's worth it for just something with the look of the watch. Although what you don't get Bluetooth, you don't get reasonable water resistance. It's not a G-Shock. As you can see, they're quite honest. It's only 3 bars water resistance, which effectively means almost nothing. But what I've got to say about this borrowed design is it is supremely legible. It's really, really good. You have your day on this indicator here at the 9 o'clock. You see the Sunday at the top there and the Saturday at the bottom. You have a digital display here, and of course you have these very visible analog hands. Now these hands are loomed, and I'll take a little time to show you a loom shot just at the end of the video. But the watch has a light which, when you press the light, actually illuminates not only the digital display, but you can actually see the hands really quite clearly at night as well. So that's a plus point. This watch is a very legible watch. You can tell the time at a glance with it. And to be fair, most people wouldn't be taking a chronograph, which this actually is, because the functions it has your normal digital functions here. It has a countdown timer, alarms, chronograph, and it also has a world time function. So one of the main strengths of this watch actually is that you can set it to times in different time zones, and I'll go over the functions of the watch briefly in the next section. But anyway, this is how the watch came. Poly bag, rather large sheet of instructions, SKMEI 2100 operation manual, which actually the watch model is an 1816, so it's not a SKMEI 2100, but maybe that's their module number for it. And I'll go into this in a bit. But there you are, there's the watch, 20 quid, as opposed to, now yeah, Casioak might be about 100 quid, but a Casioak at 100 quid has a resin case. The steel Casioaks are several £100s, so when you compare it to its lookalike steel Casioak, this is an even bigger bargain. Anyway, let's go and look at the watch in operation. First of all, here we've got the watch just running with the time, and that's the 4th of June now, so 6-4, and the running seconds carry on there on the sub dial, and you could change that to show the time and the running seconds, or the date and the running seconds. Now this is the mode button. World time at the moment set to Jeddah, but you could change that to various different cities. Once the watch is set, it just does sort of plus or minus the hours required to have the different capitals. You just turn it to a city that's in the time zone that you want, and it will settle on, when it stops scrolling across, 1828 in Kathmandu. After that we've got the stopwatch, which works just like normal, start and stop. Oh, sorry, reset is actually that button here. One of the things about this watch though is because it's got a lot of functions, the instructions manual is quite weighty. Timer, alarms, not got any alarms set just now, and then back to the time. Now there's one movement inside this watch, and sometimes dual display watches have two different movements, one movement running the analog hands and the other the digital display. But when you set the time on the watch, you set it on the digital display, and then like magic the hands move round, always in a clockwise direction, to set the time, and it looks quite cool. Likewise, you can actually set the watch. You don't just have to have the world time on the digital sub-dial. You can actually change the main time of the watch to whatever time zone you're in, and the hands move to do that. Now I'm going to show you the lume and the little light which I inadvertently illustrated a few moments ago. The lume on those big hands, practically useless, but the built-in light very effective. We'll finish off with a nice wrist roll in the sunshine. It's a really nice looking watch this, although the design elements are all borrowed from elsewhere. Advantages and disadvantages. Well, advantages first. Despite the fact it's got a zinc alloy construction of the case, it's a very nicely put together watch. The finish and the fit are really good. As well as being attractive, it's got a great set of features. It's a very useful watch. It's quite a tool watch, but that leads on to the disadvantages. Disadvantage number one, it's only got 30 metres of water resistance, which in effect probably means it's not waterproof at all. You won't be showering with this one, and I'd be careful about washing the dishes with it. Also, it's quite thick. It's quite a chunky watch, and that might not suit everyone. Now that folded bracelet is not a hair puller. It's a nice looking bracelet, despite the fact it's made of folded steel, and it is steel unlike the zinc alloy of the case. Problem with it is those push pins are very difficult to remove, and unless you have the patience and the proper tool to do it, it's a bit of a challenge. So it's a great looking watch, it's got great functions. It isn't too cheaply made despite the fact that it's really cheap. All in all, you can't believe that they can do this for the money, and if you buy this understanding what you're getting, you won't be disappointed. That's all till the next time. Bye for now.